And everyone's wearing striped shirts, and there's a lot of people who are dressed like mimes. So honestly, Mexico, you won the internet with that one. Welcome to a new episode of the You're Not Wrong podcast, a podcast where a Gen Xer and a millennial talk about culture back then, culture right now, and sometimes agree to disagree. I'm Elizabeth. I'm the millennial.
I'm Nicole, and I'm a Gen Xer.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
You still have it.
I still got it.
You do. And we're back.
We are. Applause.
Maybe I can add a round of applause.
Yeah, you can.
So we are back, and I could explain where we've been, but nobody, we don't need to talk.
People care, but we'll get to that in another episode.
That's not for today.
We'll get to it in another episode, guys. Don't you worry. You're going to find out where we've been. But for now, we're back.
But for now, we are back. And today, you're probably wondering, where are they?
What
is this? What is going on?
I wonder it.
We're coming at you from a new location with a little bit of a new setup that we're going to try out. It could be awful. You could hate it. We could hate it. I don't know yet.
This is physical media, by the way.
This is physical media.
This is real. This is not digital. Elizabeth wanted physical media.
I thought
she's
it was
a millennial.
Important.
Look at that.
I thought it was important.
I've been telling you the importance of physical media for a
Mostly
while.
because I didn't want to edit, but also because this way I can quickly... This is quicker.
I think you just want to be like a director and point at stuff.
It could be. And also,
you
we're
like
really
that.
lucky that I did not pull out the red string for this episode.
I'm very happy
because we were this close.
Yeah.
Because this is insane.
Yeah. I mean, we already know that we're insane, but that would have just cemented it.
If you want to see red string, like this video, comment that this video would have been better off with red string, and maybe next time we can talk about it.
Gotta show that red string meme with the guy.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, welcome back. Find us on YouTube. You'll be able to see what it is that we're talking about. If you're watching us on YouTube, then you probably already know at least a little bit that we are discussing the 2025 Oscars.
Dun, dun, dun.
So, did you watch the Oscars this year?
I did. I was actually excited about watching the Oscars because I decided I wanted to try to watch as many movies as I could before it came on. I don't know what got me involved. Well, I know what it was. It was the substance.
Oh, it wasn't me and my chaotic voice notes. No.
I mean, that did intrigue me, although I tried to watch that movie in 10 minutes and I turned it off. Yeah. So anyway, I had a bug up my butt a little bit about the Oscars this year because I had caught a couple movies and there were a couple weekends where we went through a really cold spell.
Yeah, we did.
And so all signs pointed to just staying home watching the movie. So I tried to watch as many Oscar movies as I could, and then it made me excited about the Oscars.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I was really clearly wanting one movie to win and one actress to win that didn't.
We'll talk about it.
And it's pissed me off.
That's okay.
I actually don't have a good taste in my mouth about the Oscars.
So I used to love the Oscars. I always...
Really?
Yes.
I'm surprised to hear this.
Really?
I never knew you
used to like the Oscars. This is pre-meeting you.
I know, but as a kid, you were liking the Oscars?
My family was really into movies.
Oh, okay.
And we would discuss movies and meanings in movies
Deep.
and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
We were that weirdo family that would talk about new movies that we had seen at dinner and stuff. So the Oscars to me, it's that time, what are the movies? Plus, if you're someone like me who does enjoy an art house, more interesting film with deeper, not a box office hit.
Yeah.
Then
like a A24.
Then these are the movies that you want to see, right? And I remember being pleasantly surprised, I think 2 years ago. I think it was 2022, but I could be wrong.
When what won?
Coda won.
I still haven't seen Coda. My son always is you need to watch Coda.
I really enjoyed it.
Really?
I really enjoyed it because I don't know if you know anything about Coda, but it's a
blind,
deaf.
So
it's a family of deaf. It's a deaf family, but one of the kids can hear.
Oh, cool.
And she wants to be a singer.
Oh.
But so they can't hear her.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. But it's a heartwarming family movie about people who love each other.
And it won an Oscar.
They end up happy at the end. Like, it's a happy ending movie.
That never wins an Oscar.
It won Best Picture.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I like when stuff like that happens because it's the movie that you're not expecting.
For sure.
It's the underdog, but at the end of the day, it's like it's a good, short, family-friendly, fun movie.
I do like that it was short and it won.
And I left thinking, like, and I watched the movie and I like teared up at little parts because it's really touching.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, there's no way this is going to win because it's too good. And then it won. And I was like, fantastic. So
2022 is when this happened?
I believe so, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it was a dark time. It was 21, 22, like dark time for movies.
That was harsh, yeah.
So I've always liked it, but at a certain point it felt like not only did the movies not matter that were being put up for the Oscars, if I'm being honest.
They don't.
But also there was like no drama, no intrigue. Like the biopic's gonna win, or the Holocaust movie, or the World War II movie about like war,
or the 4 hour long movie about whatever. Because literally,
a person's life in a movie. You know what I mean? Like a biopic or something. That's what's gonna win, and it's probably something that, like, to be honest with you, those are just not movies that I am personally interested in.
Not the ones that win. You know what I mean? Like, there are biopics that I thought were exceptional that should have won. Malcolm X comes to mind. But those type never win.
Right.
It's like somebody that you don't even care about anymore that they do a biopic on.
What are you talking about? I don't know. I have no idea.
Everybody needed a Bob Dylan
biopic.
I mean, people were, is it Bob Dylan?
Yeah.
Because people were protesting saying they needed a Bob Dylan biopic.
I don't know that
I'm being sarcastic.
I know, and I don't know that I've ever listened to a Bob Dylan song.
I'm like, I'm sure who asked for that?
And I'm not taking anything away from the man.
I'm not either, but
I just don't know why.
In 2025, why did we need a Bob Dylan biopic?
Okay.
With all the other people available to do biopics on.
I agree with you. Okay. However, this year at the Oscars, I was dragged in by the lore, the drama, the intrigue, all of the things outside of the actual movies that were happening, which made me interested in what these movies and what they were.
There was a lot of drama.
It was so much drama. I don't think, and it could be that I just wasn't paying attention because, like I said, I was off the grid with the Oscars for a while. Yeah. So if I'm wrong, correct me. But like, I don't remember something being so contentious to the point where the race for who was going to win changed so many times.
Right. Because of the chatter around the movie, not because of the actual movie itself.
Exactly. Because the movies are the movies. Like, it's made. It's done. Yeah. You've watched it.
Yeah.
Then everything else changed.
So, like, what movie was that? What movies were that? Had that?
I don't know. Let's get into it.
So, pointer is really freaking me out.
I thought we would take this moment so that I could explain.
Why are you pointing that at me?
Because you're here with me.
I don't like that.
I thought we could take this moment. I'm also pointing at myself to explain all the drama that happened in the 2025 Oscars.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit about the movies.
Okay.
Now, on this board, you will see 7 of the nominated films for Best Movie. Best Picture.
These are the 7.
I believe there's a couple. There's
more.
There's more.
Like
these are the 7 that matter.
There's
for this discussion. These are the 7 that are important. I have seen 3.5 of these movies. 1, 2, 3. I have not seen another 3.
I've seen 3.5 as well.
I don't care because here's the thing. Again, this is not about the movies. If you want a rating or a critique of the actual movies beyond the drama, then you should find another video.
There are plenty of them.
Yeah, tons of them from actual
film critics
and also non-film critics.
Yeah, but people who are
qualified and unqualified.
Yeah,
this is going to be about everything else that happened around them. Okay, so
the drama.
Let's get into it.
All right.
Let me take you back to January 5th, 2025.
Okay,
a couple months ago.
That was just recently.
What happened? You don't remember? That's fine. The Golden Globes. So
I don't ever get into the Golden Globes. Although I know it is a precursor to the Academy Awards.
So that's the thing. In the Oscars race world, and a lot of people don't know this, but the Oscars isn't just like, oh, these are the 10 best movies, which one's going to win? It's like a very concerted effort with PR and everything involved to do marketing and to do publicity and to get the movie. There's a full campaigns.
Yeah.
The other awards.
They go on runs.
Exactly. So Golden Globes, SAG-AFTRA, the guilds, so the directors, the producers guilds, BAFTA, like all of these are considered precursors to the Oscar.
Yeah.
So
gets the buzz
if a movie or an actor or an actress does really well in certain categories, in certain precursors, then it's a good indicator that they will likely win an Oscar. And you have to think, if you're not super familiar with all this stuff, like a lot of the people are similar pools, right?
Yeah.
So every
it's the same world.
Yeah. So like that's how it ends up working out, where like, yeah, there's a lot of anonymous voting and stuff, but it's a lot of the same pools of people. So, you know, just because it's only directors here, only producers here, or what have you, like they all end up voting in different awards.
Universe.
So it gets complicated. So January 5th, 2025 was the Golden Globes.
Okay.
Nobody cares about the Golden Globes. Hot take? Maybe? I don't know. Do you care? Let me know. Comment below. I don't. However, it's a precursor. So you pay attention to the Golden Globes if you're someone like me who's got like a toe in, but you're not like super dorky about it. You pay attention because you want to see what's going to be nominated for the Oscars, right? So this year, the nomination for the Oscars was delayed because of the fires in California.
Yeah, I remember that.
So usually it's out around the same time, I believe, the Golden Globes and the Oscar nominations. Golden Globe Awards, not Oscar nominations, around the same time, but that got postponed. So all we had for a while was the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
And at the Golden Globes, a few different things happened.
What happened?
So okay, I should back up. The Golden Globes have 2 categories for Best Picture. They don't do so the Oscars has Best Picture.
Yes.
Golden Globes has Best Picture Drama and Best Picture Comedy and Musical.
Okay.
So, the 2 movies that won were The Brutalist.
Okay.
Which is this movie over here in the corner.
Andrew Brody.
And for drama. And Emilia Perez.
For musical.
Yeah. And immediately, people were like, Emilia Perez? What is that? Why have I not heard of this movie?
Yeah, I had not heard of it.
And that's a good question. And the reason is because in a lot of places, not in the U.S. In the U.S. it was out. But in a lot of places around the world, it was not yet available. Or at least, let me say what I know for sure. In Mexico, it was not available. Why is that important? Because this movie is set in Mexico.
And you could not see it in Mexico, even though it was set in Mexico.
Correct.
And filmed in Mexico.
You could not see it in Mexico because they wanted to do a wide theatrical release.
Okay.
And it wasn't released yet by the time the Golden Globes came out.
Okay.
So people in Mexico hadn't seen the movie yet.
And it was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Is my understanding. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Look, we're going off the cuff here. This is just based on what I remember.
We're freestyling.
We're completely.
That's how little
I really care about it.
Yeah, we're doing a whole episode.
And yet, clearly, I care.
With printouts.
And clearly, I care. Okay, so when that happened, everyone was like, "What is this Emilia Perez? Right? What is this movie?
Zoe Saldana.
And who are these actresses who have been all nominated? Right? Because Carla Sofia Gascon, who plays the titular Emilia Perez, was nominated for leading actress. Zoe Saldana, she was nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and I do believe that Selena Gomez was also nominated during the Golden Globes.
Selena Gomez, first of all, where the hell she come from?
What do you mean? Like,
I'm just like...
like existentially?
Just, or like... I feel like she just like pops up in things, and like I thought she was a singer. I don't know. Selena Gomez
she's from Disney Channel. She does both.
Maybe it's because she's not from my time. I'm just like, where is this girl from? Then I thought she was short, but she's actually tall. Like, what is up with her?
How tall is she?
She looked really tall at the Oscars.
Well, they wear heels.
I know, but she looked like the same height as Zoe Saldana.
I don't know how tall Zoe Saldana is.
I thought she was like my height, like 5'7", 5'8". Anyways,
don't look at the board for. So these 3 actresses were all nominated in their categories, right?
Yeah.
And so people were like, what is this movie? So side quest.
Yeah.
A couple other things happened at the Golden Globes.
What else? My favorite movie.
Your Girl.
The Substance with Demi Moore was the best movie of the year.
Might be hard to see a little bit with the lighting.
I don't know why you would hide that. This is
another
thing. This is what you guys are doing.
The Substance erasure.
You're erasing Demi Moore in The Substance.
She is a truther.
You millennials.
So, also nominated for Best Picture. I think it was in comedy.
No.
Was it in drama?
It had to be drama.
I can't remember. But the important part is not even about the movie. It was
nominated though.
The important part is that Demi Moore, who is an actress from a very long time, a very good one.
What? From a very long time ago?
She's been an actress for a very long time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's been like 40 years, she said.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
She won Best Leading Actress.
At least she got something.
Okay? Big deal.
Yeah.
Really big deal. She was up against, also of note, Mikey Madison. I
Never heard of her.
Was also nominated, I believe.
Was she?
I thought she was, but I could be wrong.
You know what? It had to be, because like all of a sudden I started hearing about Honora this, Honora that, Honora this, Honora. And I'm like, what is this Honora about? It had been on Netflix for a long time and I'd never clicked on it because it just looked, you know what I thought it was about? I thought she was a mule being used by the Russian drug cartel. That's what I thought the movie was about.
Okay.
That actually would have been interesting.
We'll stop.
Okay.
And then, I believe she was, but I don't know. Maybe you can fact check me real quick while I explain the rest of this. So Demi Moore won Best Leading Actress. Everyone was like, yes, oh my God, Demi. Yeah. And then on the other side, we'll talk about the men just very briefly. Adrian Brody, Timothée Chalamet. I don't really care about them right now, but just know that they're here also as well. So leading into this was kind of a surprise, right? No one expected. I shouldn't say no one expected.
Actress. She was nominated for actress in a musical or comedy motion picture. She was a nominee.
Okay, so no one expected Demi Moore to win.
They didn't. I thought she was picked to win. Maybe in a Golden Globe.
Was she?
Yeah.
The problem is, this is where it gets tough. Okay.
Why?
Because if you talk to different parts of the internet, different parts of the internet expect different things, right? So, for example, one movie that you will see that is not up here that got a lot of interest on the internet was Wicked. That is not here.
Wicked did not
because it is not relevant to this conversation.
They didn't win. Well, I think they won for costume
and they won set design.
They did not get anything for the acting, which was actually fair.
Another movie that you will not see here, even though it was a blockbuster hit.
What?
Dune Part 2.
Dune was nominated for an Oscar, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I'm saying here on this board.
Oh.
Like right physically here with us. They're not in the room.
This means what? That you don't care about it?
No, what I'm saying, kind of. Because at no point does it become part of this like bigger Oscars lore, is what I'm saying.
Although Wicked did have a lot of drama.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, probably. Okay. That's its own thing.
That's
not Oscar-specific lore.
Yeah, but I get why it's not here.
Right. So all of this happens, and everyone's like, what's going to happen for the Oscars, right? Because what is this movie? Will Demi Moore be able to actually win
an Oscar,
Best Actress at the Oscars? Like, what is going on over here in this corner of the board I haven't talked about yet? So let's get into it. Okay. So then the Oscar nominations come out, right?
Yeah.
In between, it doesn't really matter. The Oscar nominations come out and you see these movies.
Yeah.
Let's talk really quick. So you have The Brutalist. This is a movie about a guy who leaves Hungary because...
He's an architect.
He's an architect. He got caught in the Holocaust and now he's leaving to come to America. And a lot of really bad stuff happens to him, and he makes really ugly architecture, in my opinion.
There's a lot of those buildings in Washington D.C. By the way, that's the federal D.C. architecture is the brutalist style.
Correct. Yes,
yeah.
I don't like it.
Okay.
Emilia Perez, the story of a Mexican drug cartel leader who wants to transition into a woman and leave behind his life of crime, except she kind of doesn't, and then hell breaks loose, and it's also a musical, and it's also from France, even though it takes place in Mexico.
Pretty bad.
I'm still here. another movie that I have yet to discuss.
I actually haven't not seen it.
I have not seen it, or I've seen part of it. I'm Still Here, a movie about Brazil that Brazilians are really, really about.
They're upset about it?
No, they're obsessed with it.
Oh, they love it.
And the husband gets taken. She has Alzheimer's. That's all that's really relevant right now. The Substance, as we know, a movie about aging and how, a horror movie and I don't know, all that. I don't know how else to describe it.
It's about society devaluing women as they get older.
Thank you. Anora.
And beauty standards.
Anora, a movie about a
young
sex worker who kind of falls in love with the Russian oligarch's son, marries him, and then has her better judgment. Things happen. I don't want to spoil it. Okay. Conclave, a movie about what if popes picked a new pope or cardinals picked a new pope and also that pope wasn't a dude. A complete unknown.
The Conclave.
Bob Dylan, right? Okay, cool. We're caught up.
Conclave is crazy.
So at this point, everyone's like, what's going to happen here? Right? And actually, you know what? She didn't win for Best Actress. Demi Moore won.
At the Golden Globes.
Right.
I know. Yeah.
So that's the same category. So they were in the same category.
Demi Moore won for Best Actress.
So, right. They give a speech. It's all about life.
Who gives the speech?
Sofia Gascon gives a speech.
And
it's about
Emilia
things will come to light. Remember this. So things, like I said, suddenly everyone's like, what's this Emilia Perez movie? Yeah. What is going on with it, right? Mm-hmm. We haven't seen it. People start seeing it. The movie is absolutely
terrible.
It's crazy. Like, the movie is crazy. I didn't like it. I watched like 20 minutes and then I turned it off.
I could not get through it.
And I watched it, and I like to watch these movies in good faith. Like, The Brutalist is in no way any movie that I would personally watch.
Right.
But I watched it for the movie of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I like to give them a good faith try.
I tried with Emilia Perez. First of all, I hate musicals. Anybody that knows me knows that I do not like musicals. But I can power through a musical if the story is good. I got through Wicked. Also, they didn't sing quite as much in Wicked, but it was...
But the movies, or those songs are banging, though, in Wicked.
Songs are okay, and of course, I'm a big Wizard of Oz fan, which is why I made it through. But Emilia Perez...
Dude, that shit was bad.
I can't do it.
There's a reason this is important. Because I watched Emilia Perez, 20 minutes of it, tried to get through it, couldn't do it. It's all in Spanish, okay? Yeah. Which puts it in an interesting position for the Oscars, because it's not only up for Best Picture, it's also up for Best International Film, as is I Am Still Here, which is the Brazilian entry. This is the French entry.
Yeah.
I speak Spanish.
Yes, you do.
And I messaged you and I said, I might have had a stroke because I cannot understand anything that these people are saying. And I thought it was me because surely it must be that I have forgotten how to speak Spanish. There's no way that they produced a movie
and put it out
with such bad, awful Spanish.
So the Spanish was that bad.
The Spanish was that bad. The Spanish didn't sound normal.
Wow.
Particularly
given that it's
for Selena Gomez,
who is Mexican.
Well,
isn't she?
Yes.
I mean, what does that mean? I don't know.
She's born here.
Right, but I mean...
So she has Mexican heritage.
Yeah, she's Mexican.
But she's American. And doesn't speak Spanish. And that's very clear when you watch the movie.
Does Saldana speak Spanish?
Yeah, she speaks better.
So why was it messed up then? You got a Spanish speaker.
So, lots of people were wondering that too. They said... What's going on? Why does Selena Gomez sound so awful? And I thought this was particularly interesting because I hadn't watched the movie when she had been nominated for a Golden Globe supporting actress. Okay. And now I'm like, what is going on? What are we doing, guys? No, she's basically unintelligible.
So
in that movie.
They are Zoe Saldana knows how to speak Spanish, but correct. She's speaking this bad Spanish. In the movie?
I would say the bad Spanish in the movie is either the person doesn't speak Spanish or the writing of the movie.
The writing.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
The writing has to be bad.
And I think that's the most obvious in a part that Selena Gomez says. And I don't even know if I can say what she actually says, like here. Like I don't feel comfortable actually saying. Okay. But essentially, the internet went crazy because everyone found this one scene where, like, Selena Gomez, like I said, you can't understand a thing she's saying in this movie. I legitimately was like, I had to put the captions on. I didn't understand what was going on.
Right.
And I was like, is it just me? No. Lots of Spanish people were like, what is this? There's a point where she says a phrase that no one in any language has ever said before except maybe French. Like, it's insane.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. And also, like, it was definitely written by a man because I don't think any woman has ever said this to, like, their lover.
Well, but yeah, that was like a little bit of the issue I also had with that and also this one.
So, yeah, that was wild. And that was the part where I'm saying it's bad Spanish overall. Okay. Because it's very clear, like, the way that they say things isn't how, at least for my understanding, people would speak, right? Like, when you have a command of a language, you can hear me right now. Yeah. I'm pausing at different points.
You know the inflection, you know the slang, you know the way people twist words up or whatever.
Exactly.
And you understand it.
Right. This movie was not written with that kind of understanding of Spanish, which is crazy. But then also remember that this is a French film.
I was going to say, it's because a French person wrote Spanish.
Enter the country of Mexico into this story. So the Mexicans end up seeing this movie because it is released in Mexico. And they are not happy because they're like, first of all, what I just said with all the Spanish issue. But secondly, what is going on with the source material of this movie? Because the cartel industry that goes in the issue of cartels, and I'm not going to speak to it too much because I'm not Mexican, nor am I an expert. But from what I understand, it's like a legitimate issue that these people have in their country.
Yeah.
And when there's things like that, you want it to be represented in the right way. You don't want, we have like hurricanes in Florida. I know it's not the same thing at all, but I can tell when someone who hasn't
gone through one and is trying to portray what it's like to go through a hurricane.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know the difference.
I know the difference because I understand what it's like to be here when that happens. Yeah. And that's what a lot of Mexican people were saying about this movie. Like, and it's not just, the drug cartel plot of it all is really messed up for a lot of reasons. But then on top of that, and the Spanish is messed up. Mm-hmm. On top of that, like the little things about Mexico, they don't get right.
And that's where I feel like you should not be getting nominated for an Oscar when you are getting 100%. That stuff from it. That's what makes or breaks any sort of program.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. And if you know anything about languages, even if your only language is English, you know that there are accents and that people have specific accents based on the region that they're in. Yeah. So for example, Carla Sofia Gascon, who is a Spanish actress, sounds Spanish, and it sounds different. Zoe Saldana is she's American, but she's of Dominican, or her family's from the Dominican Republic. She sounds different. Nobody knows what language Selena Gomez is talking, so she could have gotten that language. She could have gotten that accent right. I don't know. But my point is, it doesn't sound. These are all people who have lived in Mexico.
Right.
So instead what they do is they try to write it off in the movie. I don't know what their reasoning was for her sounding not Mexican, but with Zoe they say, oh, well, she came over from the Dominican or somewhere in the
Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with Selena they say, oh, well, she was American, right? But immediately, like I said, it's the little things about Mexico too that they just clearly don't understand.
Like what?
Like, they make jokes about how like everything in Mexico has like a sepia tone, and that's how you know it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
but nobody in Mexico do people in Mexico agree with that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
yes, that that there's a certain filter
I know
to make things look Mexican. Yeah, there's certain. For example, in the very beginning of the movie, and again, this is just from what I've read and understood. I could be slightly wrong, but there's like a truck that buys stuff. Okay. And it's like coming around at night. Okay. And the Mexican people were like, that doesn't happen.
That would never happen.
Not at night.
Yeah, because the cartels are, come on.
And then the biggest thing, which so what ended up happening to me, Elizabeth lore, as we get into Oscars lore, I now feeling a bit insecure about my Spanish. Because remember, I don't know if I've suddenly lost the ability to speak this language.
You speak Spanish all the time. Right?
Well, not all the time.
You don't? I feel like when I leave, you start speaking Spanish. That's what I thought was going on. Okay. That's not what happens.
Not exactly. Oh. So I went to Mexican Twitter and Mexican YouTube and Mexican TikTok for someone to verify it to me. Am I crazy?
Okay, what happened?
Well, and then I learned this, which I think not enough Americans are talking about. At the very, very beginning of the movie, after the truck thing, Zoe Saldana goes to court.
Yeah.
And she's practicing this speech, and she says, gentlemen and ladies of the jury or whatever, right?
Okay.
Mexican courts don't have juries.
Oh, my God. Stop. Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
What?
Mexican courts don't have... I Googled this because I was like, are you kidding me?
I mean, like, come on, y'all.
So it's little things like that.
That's a big thing. Well, in writing something, that's like writing 101.
No, you're completely... You're missing the entire essence of the place. Like, you can't even... What, you couldn't Google that? Like, that's
basic research.
Confusing, exactly. And so then, as I'm digging, it turns out that Emilia Perez is a movie based in Mexico with a Mexican plot about drug cartels and stuff. That's based on a French novel.
Oh my God.
So then
why did they pick Mexico?
That is a really good question. And I don't know that they've ever come out and said why, but they said other things. The other thing that got Mexico, we'll get back there. The other thing that got Mexico very upset was the lack of, if you haven't noticed yet, Mexican representation on my board.
Right.
So Zoe Saldana, as we mentioned, Dominican. Technically Mexican, but
she's American.
By way of America, and also doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
And then Spanish.
Right.
So like the Mexicans were like, how are you going to set a movie in Mexico? Get everything wrong about Mexico. And then not cast a Mexican actor or actress.
It's starting to feel like intentional.
You said
it's starting to feel intentionally disrespectful, actually.
We'll get there. So, and I agree. And as someone who watched a lot of telenovelas growing up, I can tell you, the talent is there.
Yeah, I'm sure Mexico has tons of actresses and actors.
Make so much media.
Yeah, they
have people.
Yeah, they got people.
The lead casting director of this movie comes out and says in an interview that they wanted to really get the authenticity right for this movie, and when they were casting, they just could not find any Mexicans who could fulfill the roles. However, I've heard that before. Really important to them that they found a trans actress, which I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying maybe both are important.
I just feel like this movie plot would have been so much better if it hadn't been a musical and if they actually had been speaking the right Spanish. Like, if it was done right, I like the plot.
I think so. The musical thing too is seen as Oscar baity because musicals allegedly have a better time winning. I don't know if that's true.
Okay.
The other thing that came out, because now we're in the firestorm of like Spanish internet being like, what is going on here? The director, who I have right here,
who is French,
Audiard. I forget his name. I want to just call him Jacques, and I feel like that's appropriate given how much he's disrespects the Mexican people.
Yeah.
He came out and they said, you didn't film in Mexico. Did you do a lot of research? Like, what was your process to get into Mexico? And like, do you feel like you know enough about the movie to portray a movie in Mexico? And his response was like, and I'm paraphrasing here, but this was generally the vibe. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been there once. I don't really need to go again. We're good.
That's what he said?
Because they filmed it all in France.
I thought they filmed this in Mexico.
No, baby.
Oh,
they filmed this thing in France.
Where?
Now that I'm not sure.
This movie is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard of. What?
So clearly people were upset. So upset. Hold on. That the Mexican people were like, we need to do something about this. Enter into the chat.
Oh my God.
Johann Sacre Bleu, which is a parody movie made by Mexican people. They and I'm just going to cover Jacques here.
What is it about?
It is the story of Emilia Perez told from, instead of it being like instead of it being French people trying to tell a Mexican story, Mexican people are trying to tell a French story.
So they're using bad French.
Look, I also speak a little bit of French, and I don't know what these people were talking in this movie either.
This is crazy.
But not only did they do that, they also basically, and I'll take these down in a second,
created this. Is this her?
This is very hard to see, but this is supposed to be the Emilia Perez character, and it is basically Remy from Ratatouille, if you can't see it.
They made this character be this thing with a rat on his head, like Ratatouille.
Yes.
Oh my!
And everyone's wearing striped shirts, and there's a lot of people who are dressed like mimes. So honestly, Mexico, you won the internet with that one. It was so funny. I watched it. It was a great time. I appreciate your effort on this.
This is gone too far.
Yeah.
This is gone too far.
That was interesting. Okay.
So before, let's not gloss over this. You're saying that Mexican people got so mad.
Correct.
At Emilia Perez.
Yes.
That they created a spoof movie of Emilia Perez.
Called Johann Sacre
Blue. Uh-huh. That is written in French by Mexicans.
Yes.
I don't think this has ever happened.
And that's why
so
this
bizarre.
Oscar has been so intense.
That's craziness.
At the same time, right, things start coming out. Okay, about kind of everybody on this board. Yeah. Okay, so with let's take a step back and talk about Adrien Brody.
Oh, God,
Adrien Brody, a few years ago at the Oscars, kissed Halle Berry.
Yes,
and she did not know that he was gonna kiss her.
Yeah,
and so people were like, that's
weird,
not cool. Zoe Saldana was
most unlikable person. I don't understand, why?
Dude, I don't know. Because she plays Gamora, likable. And that's all people know about her.
I like Gamora.
That's all they know.
No, that's not all they know. Well,
people were very upset at Zoe Saldana because she played, oh my gosh.
She played Nina Simone in blackface.
Thank you.
Well, and did not care.
Here's the question. Is it blackface?
Yeah, it is, because Zoe Saldana is not black, according to her Oscar speech.
What do you mean?
She said, "I am the first Dominican to win an Oscar."
And this gets into a separate problem with America, which is that and I've told you this before.
I already know.
That you can be from a Spanish place and
also be black. I know that. But Miss Saldana,
if you want to say she's not, then that's fine. But don't say it's because she's from Dominican.
No, I'm not saying that's why. I'm saying that's what she said.
Okay.
And I mean, we've already been through the is Zoe Saldana black or white thing in the black community. It's already been discussed.
Gotcha.
And
what was your consensus?
Zoe is not really down with being known as black.
Okay.
I mean, if she was, people would be like, oh yeah, she's black. But that was the issue with her playing Nina Simone. Not only was there probably a dozen other actresses that would have been better suited to play it, she never really claimed to be black. I mean, I think she probably is, but
she's at least mixed.
Of course, but she has the benefit in America of kind of being I know black, I Dominican, which is what Dominican people do a lot, right? Although everybody else in the world is looking at them like you're actually black.
No comment.
Right. All of South America and America is you actually are black. But this is what a lot of Dominican people do. And she does that.
So that came out.
Right.
Or that was not came out, but it was re-entered into the dialogue.
Exactly.
Right? So that was her issue. Miss Demi Moore did not escape Oscar. So like I said, all this is going on with Emilia Perez, Adrien Brody, Zoe Saldana. We've got Demi Moore. She kissed a 15-year-old when she was 20 or something, and people were like,
married Ashton Kutcher.
That's not what people were talking about, though.
Okay.
She kissed a 15-year-old when she was 20 something, and people were like, that's obviously not okay.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it was here, then it was gone.
Okay.
So all that happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then, Miss Gascon, again, Emilia Perez, titular character, she comes out and says, essentially calls out Fernanda Torres. who is the leading actress in I'm Still Here, basically staying under the radar. The Brazilians love this movie. They are riding for this movie, ride or die.
But Brazilians speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with
how
Mexicans feel about it?
No, it doesn't. She calls out Fernanda Torres, the actress.
Okay.
Saying that Fernanda Torres is sending hate her way.
Oh, I thought you were saying that, well, Fernanda Torres likes it, so you guys should like it.
No, which, by the way, is, now we're getting into Oscar rules. So when you are in the Oscar race for a lead or, any sort of nomination, you can't, there's rules about how you can talk about your movie in relation to other movies, whether you liked other movies and stuff like that. So her calling out Fernanda Torres for hate online was interesting.
And it could have potentially got Fernanda Torres in trouble.
But also her.
Oh, okay.
Because it was found that all that Fernanda Torres had ever said about this movie and about her in particular was how much she liked it and that she wanted everyone to support this movie.
So she's a shit starter.
She is a complete shit starter. And you're going to hear that in a minute, okay? So that happened. And then, of course, everyone was like, what in the hell? There was a whole situation with the Oscars where people were like, is this going to be an issue with the rules? The Academy came out and they said, no, it's not an issue. Like, technically what she said doesn't violate our rules. Okay. She kind of walked it back. Whatever. Crisis averted.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we still got time, though, for the Oscars. It's a problem.
Yeah, it took a while.
We're not there yet. So then what happened? So then this guy, not that guy.
Okay.
This guy. We're back to him.
The French guy.
The director. He comes out and does an interview where and this was like a week where the news came out faster almost than Donald Trump. It was like every 6 hours something was going on with this movie. Okay? It was insane.
That's when you sent me the voice notes.
Yeah. No, it was incredible.
Yeah.
I think I started with the Mexican movie, but then I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
So our director here for Emilia Perez does an interview, and they kind of ask him essentially what you were saying before, like why, like what's up with
why Mexico?
Right.
Of all places.
He's answering questions, and he says that he feels that Spanish is a language for the poor and the migrants.
Oh my goodness. That was very French of him.
Super French. Super inaccurate, because if you recall, Spanish originates from the country Spain, of which France does border, and they're not a poor country.
Oh my God. Why would he say that?
And also like super offensive to the movie, to
the country that your movie is set in.
Right.
Yeah.
So what? Okay.
He don't give a damn.
Before we could even process that information, and he's lucky, Sofia Gascon. So this is what happens when you have Twitter, is that like people tweet.
Yeah.
And that is what Miss Girl did.
And they find old tweets.
And when you piss off an entire group of Brazilians for talking shit about their favorite actress and their favorite movie that's like ever come out. Oh, and by the way, she had an issue where she did blackface too. I forgot that. But
oh, brother.
But she's also a lot older. So
that don't mean nothing.
No, I know. I'm just pointing out that Zoe Saldana's was like pretty recent compared to hers.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Literally not relevant. When you piss off an entire group of people,
they go looking at your tweets.
They go looking, and what do? Is they find.
Yeah.
And what comes out of her tweets?
Is she actually transgender?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if she was like a woman playing a transgendered woman.
No. Yeah, for sure.
Woman by birth playing a transgender woman.
I mean, as far as I know.
Okay. I don't what would she possibly say?
What didn't this girl say? She talked about women. She talked about a lot about black people. There were several tweets about George Floyd.
Wow. You're an actress and you're doing that?
I don't even feel comfortable saying what they were. I urge you to go read the tweets yourself if you're so interested, or don't. Just take my word that they were not cool.
Jeez.
And there were also like some about, I believe it was like something about like Hitler got it right kind of talk. I don't know.
Was this lady drunk?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I read them. But what I do remember is that my eyebrows went like this. I was like, wow. And that takes a lot, you know?
Because your eyebrows went like this.
I don't expect a lot. I don't expect a lot from people these days. And
I'm trying to figure out what kind of people these guys are that you're an actress and you tweet stuff like that. Like, you clearly didn't think much of was going to happen with your career.
So the reason that this matters, you're like, Elizabeth, you've just been shitting on this movie for the last like 20 minutes. You're right. This matters, chat, because at this time, and I apologize for not bringing this up earlier.
What?
When the Oscar nominations came out, Miss Emilia Perez was leading with 13 Oscar nominations.
That bothered me.
This was almost, I believe it was tied with like Crash and one other film for the most nominations that any film's ever received. I think another film received 14. I could be wrong.
And this is what's wrong with the Academy.
And when a film receives that many nominations, especially in things like directing, screenwriting, editing, and Best Picture, with your leading actors and your supporting actors, it's kind of like it's another precursor. It's being tapped. Like,
it's gonna win.
It's gonna win something and it's big. Very likely that it's going to win Best Picture. So this was a huge deal that all of this is happening, right? So of course, now this movie has been it was produced by, I don't even know who, probably Johann Sackelblue, but it's been bought by Netflix, and this is Netflix's like
their first win. I
don't know if it's like their first foray, but I know it's definitely a really big moment for them, and it's their first potential Best Picture for sure. And so they're taking this very seriously. So when this comes out of her tweets, we now have what is in PR called a crisis. And for good measure and for good reason. At the same time that this is happening, literally within hours or 48 hours, something like that, days of this happening, the BAFTAs, I believe, also the Screenwriters Guild, Screen Actors, SAG, some awards were happening, and Zoe Saldana was again, she won supporting actress. But people weren't sure, okay, is this still a precursor because the voting happened before these tweets came out, so what's going to happen? Well, Netflix wanted to take control of the situation, but Miss Girl Sofia Gascon was like, I will take control of the situation. And so she tweeted not once, not twice, but 3, I believe, apologies that were not very good.
Not good at all.
Before completely deleting her Twitter. And then finally, Netflix put out a statement. Zoe Saldana, at the awards that she was at, was asked about all of this remandingo, as you would say, and she was like, obviously this is very concerning. Like, this is not, we made the film for whatever reasons they made the film. I can't figure out why they made the film. I
still don't know why they did that.
Literally nobody knows except for them.
Such a bizarre thing.
And so with that, now the tweet thing didn't work. Sophia goes on Spanish CNN and does an hour-long interview where she discusses her tweets and how she can't be racist because if not, she wouldn't have acted with Zoe. You can't make this shit up, folks. You really can't. So.
Oh my God. I think this is like a thinly veiled attempt at a lot of racism, actually.
I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. And I think...
And not just towards you, but to me,
no,
too. Like,
to you.
Mostly to us.
To you. Yeah, like, it's not black. Yeah.
Somehow y'all got involved.
No, I mean, just peripherally. But it's really about, like, poor Spanish-speaking people.
Which is wild, because I didn't know France had, like, a
vendetta against poor Spanish-speaking countries.
Right. Which, actually, I watched a very interesting video on a French YouTuber who discusses the connection between France and Mexico.
I have no idea what their connection is.
Well, I'm going to butcher some of this history.
Make it quick.
But essentially during the 1800s, there was like a really big contingency of like French and Mexican trading and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so like a lot of the French aristocrat like were spending time in Mexico City.
Okay.
And so a lot of the Mexico City aristocracy wanted to kind of like
meld with France.
And just like
be around.
Mock
shoulders.
It. That's not the right word, but
so
emulate it.
They kind of emulated that.
Yeah, so there's like this weird like love between like France and Mexico, which apparently Emilia Perez wants to completely ruin.
At the Louvre, they have a lot of Mexican art, which I was very surprised by. I'm like, why is there Mexican stuff here?
Yeah, they've got like some weird
never knew that. Interesting.
So now all of this is, you're like, why is this was interesting, hopefully. Why is this important? Because at this time, Emilia Perez and the Brutalist were the two front runners for the Oscar race.
Which was wrong because Substance should have been in there.
We'll get there. But these two films are leading, right, for the Oscar race. So now we've got Emilia Perez. That horse is not running anymore, right?
So we think.
What's going on with the Brutalist? So I already talked about what's happening with Adrian Brody, right? And who cares? Okay, he kissed Halle Berry. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, we don't care. And she kissed him back at this one.
Right. So clear, it's fine, right? Bigger problems. So it came out in an interview from someone who worked in production that the Brutalist used AI in the making of their film. Now,
I did not know this.
Now, a lot of people don't know this. But this is what immediately basically makes the Brutalist stop being a contender for Best Picture. Because at first, so it's still kind of contested by the director as to how much AI was used.
Okay, I haven't seen it, so I don't know in what instance they would be doing it.
I'll tell you.
Maybe with the buildings.
I'll tell you right now. So it's about architecture, as we discussed. So someone from production did an interview, and they talked about the fact that they used AI to create some of the like schematics and like the building drawings for it. And so people were like, okay, well, is that bad? Is it not that bad? Like, I don't know.
It's a prop that somebody could have made.
Right. And then it also came out, and this is why AI is here with this face, because it came out that Adrian Brody, who is the lead of this movie, and Felicity Jones, who is the supporting actress. I wouldn't say, well, yeah, she's not the lead. It's really him. They both used AI to enhance their Hungarian accents. So, in the movie, Adrian Brody and Felicity Jones
so random.
are Jewish people from Hungary who come over to America after the Holocaust. They speak the entire film in a Hungarian English and in a Hungarian accent, but there are times in the film where they're together by themselves or writing letters to each other where they only speak in Hungarian. That's their language. Of course they would. Apparently, to get the accent, which is funny because, someone over there should have called someone.
Should have talked to them. That's what I'm thinking. Why didn't they do that?
Yeah, someone could have talked to them.
Oh, my God.
But apparently, they used AI someone spoke Hungarian.
Okay.
And then they used an AI software that could match
their
someone's
voice.
Inflections
Yeah.
and their actual accent and take your voice,
and
trying to mimic it
like
and
that.
make it more like mine.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Which
is a damn good use of AI, but takes away from the acting, the integrity of the acting.
And so we had an issue now with not just the Brutalist, but also with our lead actor, Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody, what's wrong with him now? He used to be so much cooler.
I never really thought he was cool.
I did.
I really didn't. So and you know what happens is it goes to your head.
It went to his head.
So why does that matter? Because like I said, at the very beginning in January, when the nominations came out, I believe it was January 23rd, 2025, Emilia Perez and the Brutalist are in the lead.
And they both have problems.
And now they're both in these really, Emilia Perez is just like completely sunk, right? For a minute, it wasn't even sure if Carla Sofia Gascon was going to be at the Oscars. Like, that's how bad this got.
She wasn't.
She was.
Oh, she was?
She didn't sit with them.
Oh, okay.
She was there. Okay. Because when I saw her, I was like,
she came.
They let her come because for a minute, it looked like Netflix wasn't going to let her come.
Wow.
But now the Brutalist has issues more as a film as a whole. I don't think the conversation ever was super around Adrien Brody. But I think also, to be honest with you, the lead actors that were in that category just like
weren't that strong.
The only competition that he had was Mr. Timothée Chalamet.
I don't even think this movie like made any money either.
None of these movies made any money.
They didn't, right? Maybe The Brutalist might have made the most because it was in the theater. Well, this one was in the theaters too. Conclave, I don't know if Conclave was in the theaters. I think it was because we were waiting for it to come out where you could rent it. So it might have been in the movies.
So at this point now, people are like, Tim. He can't win an Oscar. He's very young.
And he's like, Kylie Jenner is his girlfriend.
But he's a good actor. Now that Adrien Brody has all this drama, can he win an Oscar?
No.
Okay. Meanwhile, now that these two movies are out, we already know that I'm Still Here and Wicked and Dune Part 2 and like they're not going to be it,
the
right?
Nickel Boys.
A Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
Not the type they usually go for.
Yeah.
That puts two other movies immediately at the top of the list.
The Substance. Oh. Conclave.
Conclave and Anora.
Substance was up there too. It was.
I think it was in conversation, but I'm going to be 100% with you.
Yeah.
It's a horror movie.
I know.
I did not think it would ever win.
It's a body horror movie. And like stepping back from my love of the fact that it was, to me, it just was so different. And the underlying topic of it was so relevant to me that it, to me, would have been like an Anora winning. It would have been just a refreshing, different thing to win. And so maybe the movie wouldn't have won, but I did think Demi Moore might have won.
So let's talk about that. Actually, I think we're about halfway.
Okay.
Maybe a little over halfway. So I just do want to point out that we did get a Kendrick reference at this Oscars because I feel like I never want this meme to die. I think it's my favorite thing ever. So he's here representing, and
thanks to Conan O'Brien, who I really enjoyed being Oscars host.
It was refreshing.
I love Conan.
It was
refreshing.
Like
him. He's funny.
So back to the movies. With Anora and Conclave moving up.
Yeah.
To me, it really starts to highlight this conversation because at the time that Emilia Perez was in contention to actually potentially win, we had Miss Carla Sofia Gascon also nominated for leading actress. And Fernanda Torres. So you've kind of got, four women who could presumably win, right? Fernanda Torres, Gascon, Mikey Madison for Anora, and Demi Moore for The Substance. Once this movie drops off, I'm Still Here.
Not gonna cut it.
I'm Still Here was never, I would say, in contention for Best Picture, but Fernanda Torres was absolutely in some conversations about Best Actress. But really what it turns to is the conversation between Demi Moore and Mikey Madison.
And I'm going to say, if that is the conversation, Demi Moore should have won.
I have not seen The Substance.
Elizabeth.
And I want to.
Why have you seen them? I'm about to leave because we've been talking about this for weeks. And I've been telling you that this movie is significant.
Yes.
And you've been acting like Anora was so much better than it. And you haven't seen it.
I always told you I had not seen the movie.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. We talked about it.
I'm talking to you as if you had seen it. I thought you had already seen it.
I texted you and I said, I have problems with body horror and I don't feel comfortable watching it.
You watch freaking Malignant. You watch body horror.
I did not know. I didn't know. Okay, Malignant was a surprise.
Listen. I can't have these conversations. You haven't even seen Substance.
This isn't about what's right and wrong. This is about drama.
You would know that this movie should not have won over The Substance.
Here's what I do know for a fact. Is that The Substance is a movie about a woman who's aging and competing with a younger version of herself.
That's not what it's about.
What's it about?
You don't even know what it's about.
Is it not about a woman who's aging, competing with a younger version
of herself? She's not competing.
Well, she can't be her at the same time.
Right, but she's never her again. She's never her again. See, you haven't seen it. This is.
All right. So let me rephrase that. The Substance is a movie about an old woman.
She's not old. She's not old. A movie about. Don't do that. Honora, you know what Honora is? It's not a movie about a young woman. It's a movie about a prostitute and a sex worker. Okay. Which is what wins Oscars. It ain't about her. It's about being a prostitute.
So the question was, between these two actresses, who
gave the best performance?
Who will win?
This one, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but 14 other women have won Oscars for playing what? Sex workers. Yeah. The Oscars like to give Oscars to women who play sex workers. Okay. Cheryl Ralph even said the quickest way to get an Oscar is to get on the pole and to get naked. And that's literally what this young lady did.
I don't know why Demi didn't get that note.
She's done it before.
Okay, well, apparently she's done it before. Enough.
Right. So, like, it wasn't, that's the issue I have with it is that, you know, Honora was okay. I do like that it was another story to tell, right? It's a story that happens, although I do believe it was quite sensationalized, but it's a movie, so that's fine. Yeah. It was another story to tell of all the stories that we have, and it's interesting to see different stories play out. But the movie itself just did not move me. Okay. Yeah. And it had a lot of holes in it too. Oh, okay. Okay, well, go ahead. Finish what you're going to say about it.
So anyway, the question is who's going to win. Conclave did have a little bit of drama in the sense that it was... Have you seen it?
Yes. I mean, first of all, it waited till the last 5 minutes for it to be whatever it was going to be.
You the thing
the best thing about that was that I just learned what all the weird things they do when they have to pick another pope. I mean, good grief. They have to go through so crazy. Many things, like the smoke and this and that, like, ugh.
Yeah, so like low key, I'm glad I didn't win just because I am Catholic, and I was like, I'm sorry. I don't need this.
I know.
You know, like, I just don't.
Ugh. Is this what y'all are back there doing?
No, and I think there are ways to have made this story more interesting than what they chose to do.
I think so too.
Yeah, and so I think that's my thing.
It was like more of the same of the Catholic stuff, but not as interesting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, now these two movies were like, okay, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Yeah. That's basically this is us leading into all the lore.
Okay.
So let me tell you what happened.
What happened?
Okay.
Why the hell did this win?
Brutalist loses. Adrian Brody takes home the Oscar. Timothy Chalamet is sad. He does a speech.
A terrible speech that was 5 minutes too long. It was over 5 minutes.
And in my personal opinion, was not worth the 5 minutes. Yeah. Emilia Perez wins Best Original Song for El Mal. Yeah. Which they sang and they would not leave the stage, which I think says a lot about, like, somebody looked at me, I think it was my brother looked at me, or no, it was my mom, and was like, what are they doing? And I was like, they're doing the same process that they did to make this movie, which is to just keep spewing nonsense while everyone wants them to get off stage.
Taking over.
Right?
Yeah.
So thank God that all of the drama happened, because could you imagine an Oscars
if it had won,
where they sweep?
No. It would have been awful.
Crazy. I'm Still Here does not win Best Picture, and Fernanda Torres does not win Lead Actress. However, I'm Still Here, if you remember, was also running and like basically tied with Emilia Perez for Best International Film. Yeah. So with Emilia Perez down, I'm Still Here wins it pretty handily. No big deal. Okay. For Best Film, or for Best Lead Actress, as we've alluded to, we're going to say it officially, Mikey Madison wins.
Mikey Madison.
This was interesting because for Demi Moore, there was a real big like I said, a lot of the Oscar races come down to campaigns and publicity and the marketing that they're going to do. And Demi's speech at the Golden Globes was about how she had never been taken as seriously as an actress because she was doing blockbuster hits, but never doing these like art house film type movies. And so to be, awarded with the Golden Globe meant a lot to her because it was someone taking her craft pretty serious, people taking her craft seriously. Yeah. Which I thought was really moving. And so between these two actresses, it was really, to me, what is the marketing gonna be enough? Because I think, like I said, I prefaced this when I talked about Coda. Sometimes the movie you don't expect wins. And that was The Substance to me, right? Because like a family comedy about deaf, like a deaf family with a singing daughter doesn't win. But that's why I thought,
and that's why I think I'm passionate about it, because I feel like it would have been a good, it would have been good for the Oscars if The Substance had won. I think it would have been good for movie making too, going forward, if Substance had won over Anora.
Right, and but the thing is that Anora is the more artsy film between the two. I know you're not gonna agree with that.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from.
Think art house.
I do. I get it, especially because Anora, like on the surface, it kind of seems like a serious movie, but it was almost like a comedy.
Funny. I laughed.
Yeah, it was comedic. It had a little bit of everything in it. It was kind of a little actiony too. There was some action. There was some comedy. There was the serious stuff. It was a slice of a person's life that we don't hear about a whole lot, although we feel like we do know who this person is. It's just like a young woman.
I've met her before.
Exactly. Trying to get it how she lives. She's, working in a strip club. She turns tricks too. She's young. She's trying to figure it out. She's not destitute. No, she's not destitute. It's not easy She's just either. A lower class young lady.
And so this was a movie about class, and this was a movie about...
So it was about society, standards.
But and also I think from what I understand, like an internal thing. Right?
Yeah.
Like what women face themselves.
It was about women.
Because of society.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about old women. It was about young women too.
No, for sure. And I think that not just, okay, can Demi's storyline beat Anora as like, why this matters? Why does this matter?
Why does it matter?
Because the precursors. We talked about the nominations being precursors.
Yeah.
Anora was nominated, not in as many nominations as Emilia Perez. However, it was in the big ones that mattered. Editing, director, original screenplay, which Emilia Perez had adapted screenplay, and I think screenplay and directing, and Best Picture. And also you had your lead. And so I think like that told me how much more seriously they were taking this movie.
Yeah.
And then I think there is probably a case to be made about where we are current day and the class story mattering to people. But also, and I'm not making this argument because I haven't seen Substance, so obviously take this for the grain of salt. But I have seen people making having the conversation about like this is a story about a woman.
It's not. It
is
It's a story about women, and this is a story about women. It's just.
But it's not. But is
story,
it though?
Yes, this is a story about women.
It is, but
by a man.
But men are involved.
And a man directed this. A woman directed Substance.
Right.
Again, to me, it's a lot of the same.
The reason I didn't care so much about that is just because I'm aware of who Sean Baker is as a director.
Yeah.
And
he's got some controversy too.
Yeah, they all literally all do. But I mean, but I think he's like more ripe for this given what he touches. You know what I mean? Like he's the kind of guy that they look at and they go, hey, you know what I mean?
I think yes, according to the Oscar standards, right. He's gonna win it. But like Anora, again, some people were making this argument like, well, it was showing the gritty side of being a sex worker, and I'm like, that really wasn't that gritty.
I wouldn't make that argument. I think
she's like, she has a roof over her head. She could have went to the community college at Brighton Beach and stripped that night and then went on and became an accountant.
We don't know if she wasn't doing that.
Well, she wasn't, because she was not. She was sleeping all day and going to the strip club at night. First of all, she was not a good hustler. She came up on a lick is what happened to her. And she played herself. That's what she did. That was another reason why I didn't like it.
What I do know is that it's a better portrayal of sex work than like something like Pretty Woman.
Of course. Like, I mean, Pretty Woman is not an Oscar movie.
No, I know.
It's just like a good 90s movie that we all liked.
I liked Anora. I really did. when these guys fell out, I was like, it might be Conclave. Because
if the old Oscars could have had their way, it would have been Conclave. Because Conclave was 3 hours, and it had all these
old white guys
in it. Yeah.
And I mean, you have like it's like Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah.
And
all the who's
Lithgow
who.
And
yeah.
But then watching in real time, because this is about lore, when Anora won for best screenplay, original screenplay, I was like, huh, okay. And then when they won for best editing, I was like, it's a wrap. It's
and
Mikey
I'm
Madison.
Really thinking about the editing of Anora, I did not think it was that great.
I agree. I think editing probably, honestly, like I hate to say brutalist. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I'm like...
once that happened, I knew, give it to Mikey Madison, give it to Anora. Thank God it's not Conclave. Get me out of here.
And I feel like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And F them, because they should have given it to The Substance. Now, I will say... the thing that The Substance had going against it was the body horror. It went too far at the end with the body horror.
And I agree, because that's what stops someone like
Well,
me.
you don't have to watch it all the way to the end.
No, but I'm just saying, like, that's what I think does stop. Like, body horror is a really tough category because, I mean, I'm just, like, I'll be honest. Like, I'm squeamish about that stuff.
Yeah, what's wrong? I mean, you're saying that like you're... What's wrong with saying you're squeamish?
Oh no, because
like,
I said I want to.
Honest.
I don't want to sound.
I don't want to sound like something about me.
I don't want to sound like a baby.
I don't like body
horror.
I mean,
I
don't like body horror either.
But
like,
I don't like body horror.
I don't know why all of a sudden now I can like watch gross stuff. I used to not like. I would never watch Mr. Pimple Popper. I can't watch stuff like that. I hate any kind of stuff like that.
And that is what this had.
And that is what it does have.
Without.
But
or with less of it.
Like it up and I would say it probably went 20 minutes too long into the body horror. But the body horror that it does it so well that it leaves something with you. And not a scary way either.
They won makeup, right?
They did. Yeah. So. And not a scary way. It's just like, wow. I mean, I think it just to me would have given this topic about beauty and what people are doing to themselves, especially women, by way of plastic surgery. And I will preface this with saying I believe in plastic surgery. I'm not against it.
Sure.
But I think the pressures that a lot of women feel, old and young, is a real sort of universal thing. And I think like we would benefit from this kind of movie winning because it may have like created more of a discussion about that. And the fact that it didn't win to me feels just like white men at the Oscars saying, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. It's also directed by a woman.
It might also just be people saying, you know what? We don't want people to have that conversation.
That's what I just said. That's what I'm saying.
But it doesn't have to be white men. It could be anybody.
Who runs the Oscars? The Academy Awards.
Honestly, when they showed the president of the Academy Awards, it was an Asian woman, so.
Well.
Or the chairman or somebody. Somebody was on my TV.
All right. Well, maybe it ain't. But whoever it is, it's the establishment. And to me,
the man doesn't want you to have these conversations.
I mean, listen, it didn't win. I'm not the only one. There are a lot of people online who say that Demi Moore was robbed.
No. Hey, look, I hear you. The only reason that to me, I kind of scoff it off is because I'm always like, you have to remember the prism that we're operating under, and it's the Oscars. It's the same people. It's not exactly the same because The Substance is a more substantial film than Wicked, but like,
yeah.
But it's the same people being like,
they're not gonna let Wicked win.
How did Wicked not win? How did Cynthia Erivo not take lead?
Win. I knew they weren't gonna win.
How did Cynthia Erivo not take lead actress?
I don't know. She's not gonna win.
Look at the actresses that we have. Like, what are you talking? And no shade to Cynthia Erivo. That's not.
But it was Wicked. Like, that's not gonna win an Oscar.
It's not the same. And that's my whole point. Is like, if we're talking about what's popular, what makes money, what's relevant to the culture, honestly, None of this shit. And you know how I know that? Because nobody had seen this movie until about January 5th when it started getting nominated. When it won several Golden Globes, and definitely after, more people saw it after January 23rd when it was nominated for a almost record-breaking amount of Oscars. The Oscars, all this lore was fun. It was fun keeping up with Emilia Perez and how crazy these actresses were, and how insane it is to write, direct, and set a movie in completely different countries that have, no basis in each other, that doesn't tell the story about the people that you're trying to sell it to. That is all of that's crazy. But none of this matters. None of this matters. And if you're watching this, I'm sorry, babe. You just watched however long this was of complete bullshit that doesn't matter. But what I will say is that from that perspective of is AI? Yeah, AI gonna tampered. This is gonna be an issue. He won Best Actor. This is gonna be an issue, and it's gonna be an industry conversation.
Well, that was literally what the whole Hollywood strike was about. Exactly. Obviously, they did it in a way that was permitted. Because remember, they set up rules for when you could and couldn't use AI.
I also do think, in this case, he just didn't have any competition, and they weren't gonna give it to Timothy. Right? So, how will AI be used in the movies?
Like that.
What the hell was this? How did this happen?
An undertone of racism is what that was.
There's no undertone of it.
I mean, they did it in a really they did it in a kind of a covert way, in a grandiose covert way. And this lady, Zoe Saldana, was just so happy to win that she wasn't saying anything about it. No. She's I don't know about that. When they asked her the question about whether or not, what do you have to say about this? She was basically I got my Oscar. I don't know nothing about that. She did not speak up for the Spanish speaking people.
No, not at all. No, not at all. And for someone, like you said, who is of the people, if they gave me this movie and I read that one piece of dialogue that I mentioned Selena Gomez says, I would have been
that doesn't make any sense.
What are we doing? Right. If at any point I would have been people don't really talk like that. Yeah.
She didn't say it.
A complete unknown.
He's too young. Will he ever win? His girlfriend is a Kardashian.
Thank God that didn't win. Honora, Demi Moore. What will This is more, what we have.
This is more of the same. I mean, this is what it is. An unknown Lolita, whatever type of lady, girl.
Yeah. Ingenue.
In this, to me, telling of sex work and young womanhood by a man, even though we say he knows how to tell the story, I believe that there were some things that were very man-like in this story.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But that's what the Oscar people want.
Right. So enjoy the drama. I don't think we'll ever see an Oscar. Look, unless we get another Emilia Perez, and please, dear God, let us not ever get one of those again.
We don't need that.
But unless we get another Emilia Perez, I can't imagine having this chaotic of an Oscar season. Because for that 2 months, as we were waiting, every day it was another thing with this movie, or that movie, or this movie, or this person did blackface. No, but this person. Yo, what is going on?
I mean, though, I will say it probably was one of the better years.
Well, it got me back into it.
For movies. It got me back watching movies, too.
Well, the only thing that and when we're wrapping up, but the only thing that I was really upset by was not seeing Challengers. I think a lot of people share that. Especially for sound. It just feels like that soundtrack was banging.
Really?
Yeah. And to not have that nominated. At all, not for one thing.
You know what I was upset about?
I believe, actually, more lore, I believe it was the director for Challengers who walked out at the Golden Globes when Emilia Perez won.
Ooh, interesting. I was kind of upset that nobody from The Apprentice won. We haven't even talked about that. I think that was political.
In what way? Political.
I mean, the Academy Awards, I don't think wanted
a movie about Trump to win.
Wanted a movie about Trump to win, even though Trump hates the movie. But Sebastian Stan and Jeremy Strong gave some amazing performances and that's why I thought that movie.
Win. I thought if they get political, they'll let it win because Trump doesn't like the movie.
No, I think it would have just put the spotlight on him in a different way. And I don't think they wanted,
and they didn't want to do
anything to do with that.
Very clearly. I mean, there was no jokes about it.
No.
There was nothing. And
nobody even talked about it.
No, and honestly, I mean, and this isn't like my personal take, this is me looking at it objectively, like probably a good call from them, only because people so often talk about how tired they are of hearing political stuff.
I don't think they wanted to touch it at all.
Yeah, and then given obviously like so much is going on in the world right now that it was like, let's not touch it.
To me it was a really good, I really liked the way they did it. I really thought that Jeremy Strong was amazing as Cohen, and Sebastian Stan had a great year, and I don't think he got recognized at all. He was also in a different man.
Yeah,
you know, just like really, really strong acting this year. And he got nothing. Was he also in? No, that was one of the Skarsgård guys that was in Nosferatu.
Yeah, that was Bill, I think.
Yeah. Another really interesting movie. I mean, I think it got nominated for makeup, maybe.
And this goes back to my point of like, this is fun, and this was chaotic and very dramatic, and I hope you enjoyed listening about this, and go look up Johann Sacre-Bleu and, read the tweets from Gascon if you're so inclined, or don't, because they're incredibly offensive. But yeah, I mean, all this was fun, but all of this does not matter.
No,
there's like one movie on here, honestly, this one that is relevant to most audiences. Yeah. And the rest of this, no one's heard of and no one cares about. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. Yeah. We're back.
We are.
We did our tagline. We talked about culture now.
Culture back then, which was the fact that 14 prostitute roles won Oscars,
and we did agree to disagree.
Yeah, we disagree.
I do like Honora.
I know you do, because you're a young lady. You're young-ish.
But also it was actually like funny and engaging.
It was refreshing.
And like these movies.
Oh my god.
These like, what is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was
different.
Slightly refreshing.
It was refreshing.
I felt that way about The Substance.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So if you like what you saw, then stick around, because we'll be doing more of this. I don't know what you're doing next, but it'll be...
Oh, you'll find out.
We'll find out soon. So like and subscribe. Leave a comment if I got anything wrong or if you have anything to add. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.